Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Irene, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys all the luxury handbags that I have previously purchased and sold as well. So if you're interested to see what I've bought, what I've sold, then let's get straight into this video. So I have been collecting handbags since 2017, and I have built up a little bit of a collection. I wouldn't say it's huge, definitely not like 20 handbags, but more than I ever thought I would ever accumulate, especially in terms of luxury handbags. Over the years of my collecting and my purchasing of handbags, I have gotten to understand myself a lot better in terms of what I like to use, what is my personal style, I guess. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 3 handbags in total that I have purchased and, you know, had second thoughts about, or maybe I didn't reach for it as much. So I'm going to go through them in order. The first handbag that I have ever bought and sold was my Prada Saffiano. It's called the leather mini bag. They still have a very similar, if not the exact same version on the Prada website today. I just checked. Now, this bag was definitely an impulse purchase. I remember making the purchase that day at the Prada boutique, and I had walked into that Prada store with that itch to spend. Now, keep in mind that I was maybe second year into my big girl job, not really having any responsibilities or bills to pay, and I just had this itch in me. I just remember that so vividly that day. I went into Holt's wanting to buy something, not because I was necessarily planning, you know, with a whole lot of thought about what I had wanted. I just wanted to buy something, and so this bag had caught my eye. It is in the Cameo, or it was in the Cameo beige color. It was beautiful, don't get me wrong. So it's that wallet on chain. I'll have it up on the screen obviously, but it's that wallet on chain. It's very small, and it's got that chain strap, the golden hardware, and it's got the Saffiano leather. Now, Prada is pretty well known for their Saffiano leather, and when I had gone ahead and made this purchase of this bag, I had great expectations that this bag would hold up really well. However, after owning for this bag for about, I want to say a year and a half approximately, I wore it, I wouldn't say, it was definitely not an everyday bag. It was definitely a bag that I used when we went out for drinks, out for dinner, things like that. And considering that, the leather wore on the edges. So on the edges, especially on the front flap, on the bottom edges and the corners, the Saffiano leather definitely showed a lot of wear considering how often I wasn't wearing it. And it's not like I'm rough with my handbags. I take pretty good care of my handbags. If you guys have been here before in my channel, you guys know that I'm quite particular with my handbags, and I don't put handbags on the ground. I never do any sort of thing like that. So that being said, I felt it was very unwarranted for this bag to show such signs of wear and tear on the edges of the Saffiano leather on the edge of the bag, because it started to peel a little bit, and then after it peeled a little bit, I would like try to put a little bit of conditioner on it to try to help, and it did very momentarily. It was a kind of like a band-aid fix, I guess, because shortly after that it almost looked black. Maybe it's from the dust and stuff, from just wearing it around, but eventually got to the point where I was like, you know what, it's really bothering me. And the fact that the chain strap is non-adjustable, so on my frame and on my height, I'm 5'4", it was too long to wear as a shoulder bag, like straight up and down shoulder bag. There was no top handle, so you couldn't wear it as a top handle. What you could potentially do is tuck the strap in. I don't remember if you could remove the strap, but I feel like if you did, it was very difficult to, so I never did. You could wear it as a clutch, but regardless, I didn't feel it to be very functional, and the only real way that I really wore it in terms of like how long the strap was on me was really crossbody. So I mean, it was really limiting in that sense, and the fact that it is a mini bag, it didn't really serve the function of an everyday bag at all. So after about a year and a half, I definitely decided to sell this bag. I don't remember exactly, but either I sold it on Facebook Marketplace, which to be honest was a little bit sketchy, or I sold it, no, I'm pretty sure it was through Facebook Marketplace, because I remember this bag did not retain its value. That was one thing that hurt about this bag, was that I purchased it for, I have it written down, $15.50 plus taxes Canadian, and when I sold it, I got maybe half of it back. So it was really painful. That one hurt, and that is one thing, that is why I don't really have, besides my newest Prada, the re-edition 2005, which I don't plan on selling, that's why I don't own really any other Prada bags. It's because they're retaining their value, their worth really goes down the moment you purchase it brand new in store. I don't find them to be worth the money, especially if you plan on having the option of reselling it one day. Now, the second bag that I had purchased and consequently sold was my YSL Cassandra Metalassi. I don't know how you pronounce that name, I'm butchering it, but it is the wallet on chain. I got it in the black with the silver hardware with that signature YSL logo on the front. It is like that black envelope looking clutch kind of wallet on chain, and it is the most adorable bag. I absolutely loved this bag, but with time I realized that it's not super useful, I guess, especially with me getting older and not going out as much as I used to, whereas that bag is definitely more of a going out bag, clutch, crossbody bag, shoulder bag, whatever. Now this bag, in comparison to my Prada wallet on chain, is much better in terms of the length of the shoulder drop of the chain. It is a silver chain and it is very beautiful. I have actually a review of this bag on my channel, so I'll have it linked up in the cards above me if you're interested. But yeah, shortly after I filmed that video, I ended up selling it because I didn't reach for it very much anymore. Like I said, I'm getting older. I don't go out as much as I used to, so it's definitely not getting as much use and as much love as before. Not to mention, if you guys were to actually take a look at that bag in person especially, it's easier to tell, but I'm sure you guys can kind of tell online as well by looking at the pictures, that this bag, the dimensions of it, on facing like the sideways dimension, I guess, like how wide it is or how deep it is, it's a very thin bag, meaning that you really can't fit anything that's got too much thickness into it. So I really only wore that bag when I didn't have to drive, because my car keys would make that bag bulge out and like be very difficult to close it up. So that was difficult. And the fact that I am asthmatic, I have asthma, I like to bring my inhaler with me typically everywhere I go, you know, because breathing is important. I couldn't bring that with me because I just couldn't fit it in there without the bag not closing up. So that was really annoying about this bag. Unless you have, I don't know, some sort of super teeny tiny, like really thin car key, like, which I don't think that even my current car keys would hold. And my car keys is just like a remote start. Like, I don't carry actual keys with me. I don't know whose car keys would fit in there. So I remember the only time I would use that bag was with if A, I was not driving, and B, I didn't have to bring my inhaler with me. So all I would fit in there were my cards. So a piece of ID, some credit cards, maybe some change and some cash. Even change was very limited. So if you were to bring bills with you, that was fine, because there would be that interior zipper in there with that. There's that middle compartment that was a zipper, but it was a very thin compartment, right? So you could only fit very thin things in there. And then at most I would be able to fit like an eyelash brush for my extensions and a very small, like not overly thick or wide or big or bulky lip product. So it was very annoying, I have to say. And yeah, so I ended up selling that bag because it just wasn't getting the use. It was in immaculate condition. This bag by no means did it wear like the Saffiano leather did on my Prada bag. This leather, it was like the powder, which is like the grainy black leather. It was beautiful, and it was actually in mint condition when I sold it. And I have to say I probably used that bag just as much, if not more, than my Prada bag that I had sold. So I mean, if you are looking for a good evening night out bag and you don't plan on carrying very much with you, I think that is a beautiful bag, because it's gorgeous. It really is. Before I move on to the third and final luxury handbag that I've bought and sold over the years of collecting handbags, I wanted to quickly mention here that this portion of today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning platform that contains thousands of inspiring videos that range across a wide variety of different topics. If you are interested in managing your finances and planning out your finances so that we can purchase luxury handbags like we do on this channel, they've got you covered. If you're like myself and you can be a little bit high-strung and stressed out, sometimes they even offer you classes on self-care, on meditation and journaling, such as the class titled Creative Self-Care, Nurture Yourself Through 5 to 10 Minutes of Meditation and Journaling, hosted by Ushma Tandell. If you are interested in checking out Skillshare for yourself, I have a link down in my description bar below. The first 1,000 people to click on it will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so make sure you make use of this amazing offer. Moving on to my third and final luxury handbag that I have bought and sold over the years is my Chanel boy bag in the old medium size in caviar and ruthenium hardware. When I made this purchase, I was taking a big chunk out of my bank account at that point in time, and I just remember it so clearly. It was my dream bag at that time. Back then, I didn't really have an appreciation for the classic flaps. I really didn't understand why so many people loved it, and I do now. I definitely do, but even so, I still don't prefer like the medium size, which is arguably the most popular size. I still prefer the small, but back then I didn't even have like the classic flaps. It wasn't even an option for me because I didn't personally find them to be overly appealing, especially for the price tag back then, even though now it's like double, which hurts my soul. But back then, the boy bag was my absolute dream bag. It was just perfect in every way. But I didn't, when I purchased this bag, I didn't really understand my own personal needs and preferences in terms of handbags very well. I had just started collecting handbags, and I maybe should have waited a little longer considering it's such a big purchase. It's quite an investment, if you want to call it that. But yeah, so I purchased this bag, loved it, definitely used it a handful of times, but I think I realized rather quickly that this bag is very boxy. Obviously, duh, Irene, yes, it's boxy. You can tell by the way that it is, but I didn't expect it to be quite as structured when I was using it. I don't know, I didn't clue in. So the biggest thing with the boy bag for me was that it is way too boxy, way too clunky. It literally felt like I was carrying a box on the side of my body every time I was using it. And I got it in the ruthenium hardware, if I didn't mention, but that chain, it doesn't matter which hardware you got, silver, gold, ruthenium, it doesn't matter. I would imagine that they're all pretty much the same because at the end of the day, it's still a metal. So the metal chain, it did have like a piece of leather about this big at the very top of the strap to kind of let your shoulders sit on, or sit on your shoulders. However, I didn't feel that it helped a lot in terms of, well, did it have that? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Maybe I'm making things up now. I don't even remember. Regardless of whether it had that strap on it or not, the chain did not want to stay on my shoulders. And this bag, I have to say, the Chanel boy bag in the old medium size, the chain length was quite good on my frame. I'm 5'4", like I mentioned before, and wearing this on my body, like just as a shoulder bag, I can't speak today, but as a shoulder bag, it worked. It was a little bit longer, just ever so slightly longer than what I would have preferred, but it worked decently well. And then even worn as a crossbody, it worked as well. It was just a little bit on the higher end, not too high where it was like right up against my, my girls, but it was actually a good length, I have to say, in comparison to some of my other bags that I've owned. Now, a boy bag being the way it is, it doesn't have a top handle. It doesn't have a whole lot of ways that you can wear it other than as a crossbody or as a long shoulder bag. So I didn't like that. And the fact that the chain didn't stay on when I wore it as a long shoulder bag didn't help. It was constantly sliding off. So unless I wore it as a crossbody, it wouldn't stay on my body. Then it was boxy, like I've mentioned, and it just jutted out from my body a lot when I was wearing it. It was very annoying. Every time I walked around with it, for instance, when we went to IKEA, I feel like I remember wearing it to IKEA one time, and I was walking around, IKEA on the weekends can get quite busy, and I felt like I was just running into things, into people with the bag, and you don't want to be doing that and rubbing this like accidentally against an abrasive surface. So I felt very uncomfortable with that. I didn't like it. And the way that the bag is so structured, it definitely limited how much you could carry inside. I even got so paranoid. If you guys have seen, I'll again leave it up in the cards above me. I have a video talking about my Chanel boy bag and talking about the pros and cons about it. And I have mentioned in that video that, you know, when I open that bag, it's so stiff. And I personally don't, like I said, I take care of my bags, but maybe almost too much sometimes, especially for Chanel. I would be scared to like pull up the flap to open up the bag too far up in case I caused creasing or whatever on the back of the bag. Reason why, like I've had some people tell me like, girl, you're way too particular, just use the damn bag. I get it, but I think it's because I was that way because I knew deep down in the back of my mind that I wasn't going to keep this bag. Like I was already having some, you know, issues with the use of the bag, and I knew that if I wanted to sell it one day and really get my value for it back, I needed to keep it in pristine condition. And I think that's why I was so particular with it, because when I think about some of my other bags that I now currently own in my collection, I am nowhere near that particular, nor am I that like careful. Like I'm careful, but not to that degree where like even using it becomes a problem. So I definitely learned my lesson in the sense that you need to know yourself and what your preferences are. The boy bag was definitely a big no for me. I thought it was my dream bag, and it turned out it was just a big no. Luckily, I did manage to resell it, and I was able to make all my money back because I kept it in absolute pristine condition. I will think very carefully now before I buy another very, very expensive handbag about whether or not I would actually use it. And I've learned an important lesson from that. Thank God I didn't actually lose money from that one. So those are the 3 luxury handbags that I've purchased and sold over the years. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I apologize for my stumbling over my words. I don't know, maybe I'm tired, but if you guys enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to have you join our little community here, and I will see you guys in my next video.